There he is.
There he is. There you are. What are you eating over there?
I'm eating. I am eating.
What are you eating over there?
So I couldn't wait to tell the story.
Here we go. Yeah, I love when like it's not a direct answer. There's a little like preamble to it.
Well, because so I told you today, 6 o'clock, right?
Sure.
Right. Don't say sure. Look, I'm not trying to bury you here. Just
You're like around. Yeah, I believe the technical, without looking, the accurate response you gave me was around 6 o'clock.
okay, 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
So around 6 o'clock. Now you got me going back to look.
What'd you say?
I said so like 6,
Like
and you sent me
six.
the
Like
fucking
six.
thumbs up.
Not at 6. Like 6. Somewhere around 6.
No.
That's how I took it. That's how I read it.
Anyway,
It's your
when you
laissez-faire, your laissez-faire attitude. It's like I'm breezy here, 6ish. You know.
well then you sent at 6:01. You said 5 minutes, right?
Yeah, but when you said good, I gave you an extra 4. I said I'll call him at 10 after because I love how we're like. First of all, people must be sick of us bickering over the time every time.
There was a point to my story, and it wasn't even about the time. That's the funny part.
Go ahead.
I was about to bury myself.
Go ahead.
So I kept looking at the clock, and it was 5:49, and I was making some sausage and peppers, and I'm like, fuck, I'm not
What
gonna be
is
able to eat
wrong
this.
with you? Your time management is the shits. Like,
Right, and I
you
said, all right, I'm
gave
not gonna-
me the time, and then you still
Right.
like couldn't fucking work your life around it.
But I was okay with it because I said, all right, that's fine. 5:50, it'll be cooked. I'll just let it sit there. When the podcast is done, I'll eat.
Yeah.
Well, it was 5:49. Then it was like 5:55, and it was done, and I started eating.
Of course you did.
Then you sent the message. I was nervous. I'm clock watching, shoving food down my face, going, I've got 5 minutes. I've got 3 minutes. I've got 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And in my head, I'm going, he never calls before the time because you don't do that. You never call before the time.
I've done it once or twice, but I like just a minute or
Right.
two before. Listen. I know. I'm lucky enough to catch you on time, let alone
On the
early.
time, right?
Yeah.
Right. So anyway, I knew. Hold on, I got to get dog food here.
Oh my god!
Right.
Why do you
So
have
I
to?
knew-
Why can't you just do that after the podcast? Seriously.
The funny part, because I was trying to prevent her from barking. So I sacrificed one noise for another.
Right. Exactly.
So anyway, so I looking at the clock. I'm getting nervous because I'm trying to scarf this down, and it comes to 6 o'clock, and the phone didn't ring, and then all of a sudden 6:01, there's the message, 5 minutes. The good for me was like, thank God, because now I can finish my food.
Right.
Well, I finished, and there was still some time to spare. I was like, I'm going for plate number 2.
You fat pig.
And then you called, and I was like in the middle of it here. So I made the first time frame, but not the second.
Even with the reprieve I got you, you've still bungled it.
Well, because I went in for a second round.
I know. I wasn't debating that you did it. I'm just saying. I'm just pointing out the fact.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
good.
Right.
You fed the dog and it still barks. Great. Perfect. This is great. Perfect.
Yeah, I know.
Good job. You're really doing a bang up job this podcast.
No, this is ridiculous.
This is top notch stuff. Good thing I said, nah, we can handle it today. I don't need to call Billy or Bobby today. We'll save that for next week.
Oh, I forgot about them.
Right. Well, we may have to remember them because it's botchamania with you today.
Listen, the sausage and peppers I made are top notch,
Oh.
by the way. Yeah.
So, red sauce and all that shit?
No. I just did oil.
Oh, so
oil.
So like sausage and peppers, like in a hoagie or something.
No. Listen,
No, but I'm saying like that you would make for a hoagie.
Right.
I
If
get
was
it
not,
that you're on
you know,
you're Mr. No carbs for the next day or two until
Right.
someone waves a candy corn under your nose or the British equivalent of it, whatever they call
Well,
it.
look, I'll tell you this. You want to talk your shit? I put my jeans on today.
Oh, I can't wait for the 40 and 40. Here we go.
I put my jeans on today,
Uh-huh. They closed
and
today?
they fit. And
Well, but remember, you sized up a little while ago.
so what? This is what I was going to say to you. I sized up, right? You
Yeah.
remember that?
Yeah. So this isn't quite the accomplishment you're.
But the size up was getting too tight.
Yeah,
So
that's hilarious.
so now when this morning I don't feel bloated, I put them on and I was like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
all right, we're back, we're
Yeah, you
back,
dropped all that water weight.
we're
Congratulations.
back. And then I thought
We're
to
back, baby.
myself, I got nervous
Uh-huh.
because I thought, man, I may have to go buy new pants in 2 weeks.
Oh Lord, here we
These
go.
are gonna be too big. I'm gonna look like MC Hammer
Just
in
buy
them.
a fucking belt.
I got a belt.
Well, so there you go. They won't be too baggy in 2 weeks. Trust me.
Right. That's true. Uh,
Oh my God, 40
Yeah.
and 40, down to 135, and you're at what, 170 now?
I wish I was 170. 270?
Oh, that's what I meant. 270.
I haven't been 170 since the sixth grade.
Since
Wow.
I only saw 170 once on the way up the scale.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good.
It's hilarious. This podcast is everything Billy says he doesn't want to hear when he listens to our podcast.
Well, good. Then he doesn't have to listen.
Two fat guys bitching about being fat, talking about food, and
Right.
and arguing with each other over stupid shit. We've hit the Billy Fives trifecta within the first like
Maybe
6
he won't
minutes.
listen then. He won't have to hear.
He won't
this.
listen. He won't listen unless I tell him that
No.
you started acting cocky. and
No,
talking
not yet.
shit.
We're about 2 more weeks away from me
Oh,
feeling like Rocky Balboa. So
Maybe if you put on the VR goggles.
yeah. So no, but it's funny. So yeah. Anyway, I was time watching to try to scarf down food, and like I was like in my head like very nervous about this, and you spared me time, and I went for a second plate. I should have never went for the second plate.
So here's me being the master disciplinarian I am. I didn't eat all day yesterday. I ate at like 10 o'clock last night. And then my roommate goes, he walks in with another box of Hello Fresh. He's like, they fucked up again. We got free meals again. And the deal is like I cook them and he pays for them.
Right.
But he's been getting a lot of freebies lately. Maybe I'll have to renegotiate this deal. But
Right.
So free food's free food, and they're not like these super fattening meals. So what happened was he cooked something else.
Right for himself.
Yeah, and I wasn't hungry at all. I was like, I'll wait to eat till later tonight or whatever. And the smell hit me, and I was immediately starving. And I looked at the time, and there was not enough time to cook one of those meals, and before I had to podcast with you. So I said to myself, I'll do it after. And like a professional, I showed up without food in my mouth, or pushing it back further. Anyway, I just figured I'd let you know. If you need more tips, just message me later.
So what are you eating tonight?
Meatballs and like some green beans and rice.
Nice and healthy.
Yeah. This is we're off to a rocking start. What do you got for me?
Well,
What do you got for
so
me?
it's funny. So today,
Yeah.
couple things happened. Which made me think of some stuff. One was, I think Blake had posted that like Sandman was going to be involved in a show somewhere. Did I see that right?
Yeah. I didn't read it. Probably one of his.
I didn't read it either.
Like a
I just saw
CCW show or something.
right. I just saw Sandman, and it made me think about a couple Sandman stories. And
Yeah.
yeah, what are you laughing at?
Well, I know maybe two of the candidates, but maybe you have a third one.
Well, no. I was thinking about a Sandman story.
Right, two of the
And then-
candidates. Yeah.
Right, but then we got put into a group message today.
Oh yeah.
And that made me think about Snake Master.
Okay.
And
Snake
funny
Master,
because
by the way, for everyone that does not live in South Florida and go to shitty independent wrestling shows, is a older gentleman that is hovering around, circling the drain of the wrestling community down here. Anytime someone listen, fuck him, okay? I'm just gonna shoot on him. Anytime someone has a pity spot for him, they give it to him. But it basically involves him badgering you to the point of no return until you relent and say, fine, you could do something on the show. Most of the times with the caveat, but I'm not paying you. He has tried to blind Kevin Sullivan at one of our shows. And by try, I mean he's just so terrible at everything he does that he was supposed to swing the cane and hit someone, and instead he whacked Kevin right in the fucking eyeball, and Kevin couldn't even wrestle the next day. It was one of those where were you there for the conversation where he's in the locker room afterwards and Kevin's holding something up to his eye and fucking dumbass is like, what happened? And he said, you fucking hit me with that Boston accent. You fucking hit me in the eye. He's like, no, I didn't. He's like, well, yeah, you fucking did. Oh my God.
No, I wasn't there for that part.
Oh, Sullivan was so pissed at him. And Sullivan's like one of those, gives him the chair. I personally believe the reason Kevin Sullivan stopped coming to South Florida was to avoid having to hang out with Jeff all the time. Because Jeff had latched onto him sometime in the past. Probably was his coke dealer or something. I'm just, listen. The facts are the facts.
No, I wasn't trying to shoot on him. Jesus.
I am, because I'm tired of it. I'm tired of hearing about it. Listen. I feel bad. He's got a problem. He's not long for the world. I'm trying to get it in. Listen, everyone after they die becomes an instant saint. They get elevated to sainthood. So I feel like I got to shit on the guy while he's still alive. Because after someone passes away, they become untouchable, sacrosanct, or whatever that word is. You can't, don't speak ill of the dead. So I'm trying to speak ill of the alive here. I have a problem with the guy. I was nice to him. All of a sudden, I'm fucking blocked and unfriended for some reason. Who is this fucking guy? We won't even get into the fucking...
Well, that really got you fired. I'm trying to tell a story here.
I know, but you got me fired up. I'm sorry. I'm sure one of the Agents of Chaos will listen to this and report back to him. But what's he going to do about it? So anyway, I might have to delete that. That might have been.
You can't put that on there. You can't do that.
That might have been a bridge too far.
Oh my God. Anyway, I feel like we should start over here.
I don't want to come off as mean-spirited, but I got heat with the guy, and it's justified heat. I
can't even do this podcast. I can't do this. You can't. No, you can't. You're out of line. You're out of fucking line. You're out of line.
You're out of line for laughing at it.
I'm laughing at you. Oh.
I apologize, but I'm not taking that out. It was too funny.
No, you got to take that out. You can't do. No, I can't be a part of this.
Yeah, I said it. You didn't say it. You disapproved in your.
I have no heat with him. I never had heat with him.
That's fine. I do. I
was just gonna tell a story. I can't even tell it now.
Yes, you can. Please tell the story.
I was going to tell the story. First, I wanted to talk about, we'll go right. I was going to tell the story when we were in Orlando, and I'm pretty sure I've told this before, but we've got so many new listeners.
I mean, I'm sitting on a story that's I have to tell. Hopefully.
Why are we even talking about? You are going to get us in so much. What is your problem?
Hopefully 20 years from now. But hopefully he has listen, I'm backtracking now. Hopefully he has a long life with us. But anyway.
This is so fucking sideways.
Not for me.
I want to start over. I don't even want to be a part of this one. Bring Marco in for this. All over.
Sorry. I apologize to everyone.
I was going to say, I have no heat with him. I actually like him. I've never had a problem with him.
I used to like him. Too. I agree.
feel bad. I get your heat is because he deleted, blocked you. I have no heat with the guy.
No, it's not. It's not that. It's other stuff.
I've had good times with him, but the time I wanted to tell the story of was we were in Orlando and there was a bunch of us and we were watching football. We were watching the Raiders and Patriots. It was the snow game, and we had some adult beverages and everyone was hanging out drinking, watching the game. And he had asked Jeff Roth, who is another wrestler, to make him a drink.
Oh,
Snake Master asked to make him a drink.
Yeah.
And we were hammered. We were just having a good time, and they were kind of beefing a little bit. Had some beef with each other. They were kind of like jawing back and forth, and he asked him to make a drink. And all I know is I look over, and Jeff Roth has his back like to us, making the drink, but the drink isn't on a table. It's not on it's very low. The drink is around his crotch, and it looks like he's got his pants like down a little bit, and he's doing a little swizzle. And
he's stirring it with his dick.
Right. He turns around, and I'm like, me and Eric are like the only ones who see it. He was like, knew he saw, and he turned around, and he's like, don't say a word. And we were both like, oh, shit, this is going to get ugly. And he serves Jeff the drink, and Jeff takes a sip, and he's like, wow, this is good. And me and Eric fucking lose it. We just lost it because we knew what happened.
Right.
And, Jeff's like, what happened? Yeah, what happened? And we're like, no, nothing. Everybody's laughing, great fucking rib. We're all dying laughing. And this goes on and on. He wants to know what happened. And finally, Jeff Roth says, I would never, to this day, it's still a joke. Jeff Roth says, how's your rum and cock taste? Because it was supposed to be a rum and coke. And, he was fucking livid that he drank this just drink that Jeff Roth stirred with his, penile over there. He was giving it a swizzle. Oh, he was so mad. But to this day, even on Facebook, like recently, within the last week or two, Jeff Roth's like, I'll make you a drink. And I was like, nope, I'll pass. That was the running joke forever, was that, he made him a rum and cock. But it's funny, I thought about that today. I don't know.
But
funny.
How did that segue from the Sandman?
I don't know how, but the Sandman story, no idea how I came. I started thinking, I'll tell you why.
You're responsible for all of this because you just all of a sudden wanted to talk about him. I'm not even going to say his name anymore because it's going to get me in trouble. But all of a sudden you wanted to start talking about him, and I'm like, I'm waiting for the connection, and we get to the end of the story.
So I'll tell you the connection. I started thinking about, knowing we have to do the podcast today. Now you got me doing it 3 times because Daddy Daycare can't show up for his job. I don't have you
doing anything. You raised your hand for this.
Okay, well, because,
you raised your hand for this.
Mr. Prime over there is
Daddy Daycare, yeah.
Daddy Daycare. He's changing shit diapers. So, okay, I get it. But I started thinking today, I need material for today. I had nothing going into this. And I started to think about the old wrestling times. And I was like, those stories there's so many good stories from when I was wrestling. And being that I'm going to wrestle again here, November 7th, we'll see if anything happens after that. Billy thinks I'm retiring, but, little does he know, I think I got another run in me.
Not at that size.
No, not at this size. And it may not even be after that match. I may be like, I never want to do this again.
I'm pretty sure that's the way that's
his plan.
That's how that's going to play out.
So I started thinking about old wrestling stories because those are such good stories to tell. For some reason, I started thinking about Jeff and Snake Master. And
Jesus.
I remembered Blake had mentioned Sandman, and I was like, oh, Sandman. There was a couple stories where he there's a couple times where I've run into Sandman over my life. And I thought about that. And the first story was, to this day, 2021, that motherfucker still owes me money.
Oh, yeah?
The Sandman.
How much?
Right? Well, he sent me and Eric we were in Davie at FOW show, TV taping, and he sent us to the store, and he said, I need a pack of unfiltered Camel cigarettes.
Uh-huh.
Unfiltered. That's fucking savage.
Right. Well, filters are for pussies.
And then he wanted a case of Budweiser, 12-pack.
Regular,
but he gave us
regular Budweiser?
Right, yeah. So he gave us like $10. So me and Eric are super young and naive and stupid.
Oh,
we get to Winn-Dixie, which is in the plaza where the show was at, the TV studio was. We go to buy it, and the lady's like, it's like $20.
Yeah.
And we're fucking two broke teenagers. Like, I mean, we were like 20. Well, maybe we were 19 or 20 years old. We're fucking broke. And I'm looking at him, he's looking at me. We literally scraped the money together to buy Sandman his cigarettes and his beer. Now, if anybody doesn't know who Sandman is, he was a wrestler, ECW. He drank beer, smoked a cigarette out to the ring. He
did a lot
bashed,
of hardcore matches.
Right, bashed beer over his head and all that shit.
Yeah, most of the times he would come to the ring to the song Enter Sandman by Metallica. On the way down to the ring, he would have drank at least 2 beers and still be smoking a cigarette. And he would also smash beers on his head so that, I don't know, 7 times out of 10, he'd already be bleeding before the match started.
Right.
Yeah, so, yeah. And he had a cane, a Singapore cane, which is like a bunch of, I don't know if you're not familiar with what a Singapore cane is. They became popular, in the 80s when like some American got in trouble in Singapore and they were going to cane him, was going to be the punishment.
Right.
So then it became a big thing in wrestling. And the ones at least they use in wrestling are like a bunch of strips of wood, like really thin strips, like not strips, but like tubes or like, I don't know how I do, but they're like long strips of like rounded wood and they're tied off at each end. And when you hit someone with them, it makes this snapping sound. And because it's a bunch of strips of wood all tied together, they pinch your skin when they hit it because they expand when they hit. And then when you pull it back,
leave marks on you.
Yeah,
they're brutal.
They're rough. And they make a great sound. They really snap when you hit someone with them. So it's a great tool for wrestling. Super painful. He's come to the ring with that and usually use it in his match.
So we buy the stuff, we get back to the show, and we're like, where's Sandman? They're like, he's on the roof. Right? He's not going to climb the roof. So the two of us are climbing like a roof hatch to get to the roof of this building because Sandman's on the roof.
You didn't just go outside and yell, come get your fucking beer.
Well, we were trying to be respectful to him. He's a veteran,
he's already worked
in the wrestling business.
He worked you greenies.
He did.
8 ways to Sunday here.
Right. So we get to the rooftop, and there he is sitting there, and we give him the stuff. And me and Eric had been talking on the way back, like, do we ask him for the extra $10 or do we just let it slide? And we're like, we're so fucking broke that $10 is like gonna buy us a couple double cheeseburgers, on the way home after the show. And yeah, we'll get paid, but sometimes Bobby was a cheap fuck. We didn't really get a good payday. So we get up there and he's sitting there and he's like, we give him the stuff and he's like, thanks. And we're like, oh, it was $20. And he's like, and? I was like, well, you only gave us 10. He's like, all right. He's like, thanks, guys. Like he didn't. There was no way he was paying.
No,
right?
No, of course not.
No way. So he ended up we all sat up there and he gave us beer, whatever, smoking joints or whatever.
He gave you one of your beers. Great.
Right. So he had somebody else's roll of joints and he's passing some around. Whatever. It was a good time. That was my first time.
I was hoping this was going to go into a great rib of how you and Eric went to the roof to bring him his beers and he wasn't up there and they locked you on the roof.
You know what? That could have happened during those days. But he didn't know. It was cool. It was good. That was my first time meeting him. Now, that was my first time. My second time meeting him was in 2003. So the first time was probably 2001. 2003.
Right, 2001. He's fresh off of like ECW and WCW.
Fresh off.
He's been on TV. He's a big deal. You guys are looking up to him.
Right.
And he probably like every fucking booking he got, he was pulling that shit with someone. Some
Right.
fucking
And
young kid that was just excited that Sandman was talking to him.
right, we
Was
were.
more
And
than happy to go get him beer and cigarettes, and didn't realize that because you guys probably had never bought beer and cigarettes for yourself in your lives. You didn't know what they cost,
no.
so you
Right, no
thought he
clue.
gave you enough. Yeah, so he probably pulled
Right.
that everywhere he went.
So and funny part is I forgot about this part. The venue had a basketball hoop outside, and before we even went to go get the beer and the cigarettes, we were shooting hoops with him. Me and Eric were shooting basketball with him. He was a good basketball player,
At least tall.
and right, but he could shoot. And we were shooting, and he said like, "Oh, he used to play."
Yeah.
And we were like, "No, I mean, he was like a good basketball player. Like you would have never known Sandman could play ball." So we like played 21 with him, and then we went, did the whole thing. But the second time I met him was in 2003. That was when I was at TNA. When I went to TNA Impact in Nashville, Tennessee. So we get there, and I had been like, this is part of the Mickey James story. I had met Mickey James a bunch of times. She was a famous female wrestler, super famous now, like Hall of Famer,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Uh, you know, and
she's running the women's division over at NWA
right,
now. I mean, yeah.
right. And we had flirted a lot, and we had like exchanged numbers and texts and this and that. I hung out with her and her friends a couple of times, and they came down to Miami, and blah blah blah. So when I get to TNA, she's there, and she was like, "Hey, you should come out tonight after the show with us, and come party." So I'm like, "Oh, this is this is it. I'm going for the gold, right?"
I'm in.
All right. But I got cock blocked by Sandman, Raven. It was Sandman, Raven, and Julio De Niro. Those are the three. They just put the block on them. They're like, this fucking jabron's not riding with us. Because she was like, hey, why don't you come ride with us to the place or the club? And they're like, no, this fucking guy's not riding. He's a fucking jobber. He's only booked to do a job today. That's it. I was nobody. And he wouldn't let me go. And he was like, Raven was a dick because Raven's a dick. But Sandman he was kind of being a dick too, right? Like they were all fucked up. Like they were on drugs. I don't know what they were on. Shit, right? That was the second time I met him. He wouldn't let me go and blew my chance with Mickey James. And I will say, I tried so hard that night. Like me and Eric were like, let's take a cab. I had texted her a couple times and she would like text back, but it would take a long time. And like, we didn't know where they were. And Steve Madison was with us and he didn't want to go. And it ended up, they blew my spot. I could have been talking about that right now.
Right.
But they blew my spot. Anyway, third time I met Sandman. Fort Lauderdale is at the show where me and Fat Shitzo worked Carino and his kid, Colby.
Yeah.
In the cage match.
Yeah, the cage match.
And Sandman, he had come in early because he played a round of golf. He's also a good golfer, apparently. Who would have known?
That was Bobby and Frank's show, right?
Right.
Okay.
And Sandman is a good golfer. Guy can play basketball. He can drink beer. He can play golf. And it's funny because his gimmick was drinking beer, smoking cigarettes, hitting people with the stick, and bleeding. That night, he said, we saw him, and he said, I don't drink anymore. And we're like, what? He's like, I don't drink. I'm not drinking. So we're like, what are you going to do for the gimmick? And he was like, I'll just pretend like I'm not going to drink it. Like, he literally wasn't drinking anymore.
He was just doing the Stone Cold pouring it all over himself.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and he had just played around 18 holes of golf, and he's a really good golfer, had his own clubs with him, everything. So anyway, we come to find out, he gets out of the car talking, I see a girl that's with him that I know. And I'm like, what are you doing here? And she's like, oh, I'm with Sandman. I was like, how the fuck do you know Sandman? I went to high school. I went to middle school and high school with this girl. Nothing about wrestling. She, wasn't a wrestling fan, nothing. We just went to middle school and high school together. And I'm like, how the hell do you know Sandman? And she's like, oh, my husband is friends with him. Like they've been friends forever, like childhood friends. I was like, what the fuck? It's like, yeah, they went golfing today and blah, blah, blah. She's like, oh my God, like, it's like crazy that I see you here, blah, blah, blah. Well, she tells Sandman and Sandman's like, you know, obviously he's cool because she knows me, whatever. And we're all shooting the shit. Now there was another girl, Meredith. Meredith, I'm saying her name on here. Meredith was like my first girlfriend ever in like the 5th grade, 6th grade, right? Like it was my first girlfriend ever. Like we would stay on the phone all hours of the night listening to Boys to Men, like a weirdo that I was
Oh
at the
my
time.
God.
Right, right. So I was like in love with her, right? And she was in love with me. And she was best friends with the girl, Abby, who knew Sandman. So uh, she was like, Sandman was like, oh my God, you know Meredith? And I was like, yeah. He's like, we got to send her a fucking picture. And I was like, yeah. He goes, she fucking hates me. I'm like, what? He goes, she fucking hates me to no end. She said at their wedding, she like fuck could not stand me. He's like, we got to take a picture together. I got to send her this picture. So me and him take a picture together, flicking off the camera so he can send it to her. And she messages me like, what the fuck? And I was like, yeah, I'm wrestling on a show with him. She's like, he's a fucking dick. He's such a piece of shit. Like just going in on him because I'm showing him the messages and he's dying laughing, just dying. Like he's like, fuck her. You know, like he didn't care. But we were cool. So I had like told him like, you know, like I had met him a couple times before. He didn't remember. I was like, you still got that $10? He was like, go fuck yourself. But I told him the stories. He just laughed, but he was sober. But he don't remember. He didn't remember anything. So, but yeah, that's my Sandman story.
What did what did she say why she hated him? Like what he did at the wedding?
Yeah, he was drunk at the wedding apparently, and he was like, you know, he was giving her the business,
right?
Being probably a drunk wrestler, just fucking with her all night, like talking shit to her, messing with her. You
that's
know,
why they say. That's why they always say, don't sell it. Once you let them know it bothers you, it's over. You're done for the night. He's gonna be relentless. Right. Can't sell it.
Right. So yeah. So those are my Sandman stories.
That last story, because that ties in your match. Fucked. What was it? Marco and Drew were working or something like that.
Yeah, they worked each other.
They were going to do a table spot, and they even got a table. And then Sandman or Sabu,
Sabu
decided that they can't do a table spot, and they're going to use their table to do it themselves. And then so then Marco and Drew planned not to do a table spot. And Marco was a little upset that Sandman took his table because I guess he had gimmicked it and whatever else. But you know, they're not free. I mean, you have to.
Right. No. Right.
You have to steal them from somewhere.
Right. Yeah. That tables they're expensive.
Well, side note, I made a joke about stealing, but I did go with Beast once to like Walmart or something. And he was like, yeah, I need a chair for the match tonight, a steel chair to hit someone with. So we walk in, and he's like, just follow me. And he grabs a chair and walks right back out. And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? It's only $10. He's like, I don't got $10. I'm like, well, you should have.
I don't got $10.
I'm like, you should have asked me before you like asked me to be your accessory to.
That's
right. He literally just walked in, grabbed a chair, and walked out. I was like, what the fuck?
Right, like a little heads up would have been nice.
Yeah. I wouldn't have gone in with you. I would have kept the car running, something, you know.
Right.
But yeah. So,
wow.
Marco got so mad because not only did they tell them they can't do a table spot because they wanted to do it with you in your match, but also that they were taking his table to use for that spot. And then you guys never actually did the spot. So
we didn't do a table spot.
Right, you didn't do one. Even though not only did Sabu lay down the law and say, you guys are definitely not doing a table spot because we are. And then saying, and we're going to use your fucking table to do it. But then none of that happened. And they had already planned not to use a table or...
No, Sabu used the table.
Did he use it?
So yeah, okay. So
I thought he didn't even use it.
No, we wrestled the Carinos.
I thought that's right.
We were in the cage. Sabu stole the table from Marco, and he did like the leg drop thing and missed it through the table, and he like got hurt that night.
Oh, that's
going through the
right.
table. It was fucking karma.
I totally botched all that. I got
Yeah.
everything confused. I thought you
No,
guys
no,
worked
no, no.
those
We
too.
just had a cage
They were
match.
terrible. They were so
They were terrible.
they were
Right. He
so
fell a couple
like
times.
broken and
But
fucking.
it's also the night that Sabu was stealing the fucking catering. He was shoveling the pasta in bags in his like gear bag that he had removed his wrestling gear from. He was putting pasta in bags and plates. Him and the genie, who just passed
the
away,
genie,
they were
the genie,
yeah. What's her name?
Melissa Coates.
Melissa Coates, and they were stealing all the pasta from catering to bring it back with them to like the hotel or something.
I
And
have
but they weren't like it was catered. It was catered pasta, and there was like a full like Italian catering spread, and he was literally taking the pasta and putting it in like Ziploc bags that he had brought with him to steal the pasta.
the only two memories I have of Melissa Coates. One was like an old WrestleMania where I
Right.
must have been like over. It was probably the Miami one. So what was that? That's like 10 years ago or more at this
Yeah.
point. She was staying with some of my friends, Donna and Tracy, and maybe Kim. Maybe Kim was in this group too. Kim ended up marrying Animal.
Right.
But all I remember was Melissa was staying in the room, and like I went up once, and she was just like passed out, and like I thought she was dead, and Tracy told me, yeah, she sleeps like 18 hours a day, and I'm like, whoa, that's a sign that she shouldn't. She hopefully she doesn't get random bag searched at the airport. And then I remember she was on the shows. I believe she was on the shows. Was it the combo night where we had? I'm trying to remember. There was one night where we did some shows. I think they were like FOW shows. Maybe
Right. It was the combo show.
and was that the one where we went back to the bar and like some point during that night, like all the chicks started making out with each other?
Yes, that was that night.
You
Yes.
remember that? Why
Yes.
why does it sound so different now? What do you?
I'm peeing. I'm pissing. I couldn't hold it anymore. I had to pee.
I just those are
Continue
like
with your story.
those are my two Melissa Coates stories. Was that one time she was sort of hung out with us during WrestleMania, and by hung out I mean that she slept in the room 18 hours a day.
Right.
And the other story was that I just remember she was part of that like gigantic makeout session where all the girls were kissing each other, and then they would swap and kiss someone else. And I think I didn't know what was going on. I thought someone slipped something in the fucking drinks.
Oh no, that was just normal.
Yeah, it was but it was a bizarre like random
Right.
breakout where all the girls decided they were going to make out with each other, and like not like pick a partner for the night. It was like every girl decided they're going to make out with every other girl there. It was a bizarre thing. I think that was the time that like Solo and Sue were like maybe they were angling for a free place to stay for the night instead of using some of the hotel money or something. But yeah.
Yeah, that night, right? That was the combo show. Now that night, Melissa, which this is not funny.
But you're already laughing. Like at least when I fucked up early, at least when I fucked up earlier, we laughed after I said it, not before I said it. I know this is
well. When I say what I'm going to say, you're going to lose it. So that was the night where I had to take her back to the hotel first before we went out, and she gets in my car and she takes her shoes off and puts her dirty feet on my dashboard. Now, why is that funny?
Well, you're going straight to hell. You're going straight to hell.
From the air for this one.
I
She put her dirty feet on my dashboard, and I was like, "What are you doing?"
Well,
and she's like, "Now we'll tell them why it's funny in a second, why I'm laughing." But I was like, "What are you doing?" And she was like, I mean, she had like gruesome, dirty. They were like black feet, and there was like,
because she probably walked because she does a genie gimmick, like she dressed like I Dream of Jeannie. She's probably walking around barefoot.
But they smelled.
Oh, I'm sure.
And the shoes smelled, and I was like, you have to take your feet down. Like I was gonna throw up. I was like, you have to take your feet down. And she was like, oh, I was like, first of all, you don't put your fucking feet on somebody's dashboard that you don't even know. Like
Right.
we don't know each other like that. Second of all, they were just like, it was almost like she hadn't showered in a while.
Well,
They were, oh God. And her toes were unkept. Oh, so she took them down, whatever. But it's not funny.
well,
But I was laughing.
Go ahead.
Well, I was laughing because
this is the kind of story where there's like it's like before Christ and after Christ. This depends when you tell the story, if it's feet or foot.
Right, because she ended up losing a foot because she had diabetes.
Right, correct.
Right. And I don't remember if it was that foot or not, but
so
she was a very
when you
dirty
say
person.
I have a Melissa Coates foot story, it immediately like everyone starts chuckling. I mean, it's not nice because not only did she,
and she passed away.
Right, exactly. See, don't you feel bad? You should have gotten this in while she was still alive. But she lost at the knee or something? She lost one of her.
Yeah, she had diabetes.
She had her leg.
Let me tell you this: she was a very nice person.
She was absolutely.
Right.
But it's not. It doesn't discount her from having been in some funny stories.
Right. But now
this
that's also the night.
Here, let me just say. Hold on. Let me just say one thing. This is the podcast where either our numbers go up or they crater. There's no in between, because either people appreciate the fact that we have a sense of humor about things that are beyond our control, and while we also express remorse for laughing, we still find the humor in it, or everyone goes, you guys are just irredeemable pieces of shit, and we are canceling you for good. Either way, I'm okay with it, to be honest.
Right. Okay, but listen, she was very nice.
Very nice.
But that's also the night that something else happened with her. Do you know that story?
I'm trying to think. It'll probably ring a bell when you say it, but nothing's coming to mind.
So that's the night that before I took her to the place to get changed or whatever, before we went out or something, she and Paul Jones, our friend Paul Jones, Paul picked her up from the airport. She was like just a mess, like just, like all over the place, probably putting the feet on the dashboard, this, that, the other. She was like asking Paul to do this, to go here. It was a mess. Like, and Paul lost his wallet because she got him so flustered and confused. He left it on the roof of his car and drove away, and the wallet was gone. Well, it's funny until Paul gets to the show, because me and him were splitting the show, and Paul goes, I don't have the money. I said, what do you mean you don't have the money? He goes, I lost my wallet because that fucking Melissa Coates is driving me up a wall. He goes, the wallet's gone, the payday's gone, we don't have half the money for the show. So I'm like, oh, motherfucker. So Paul went and got more money so that we could pay everybody for the show. But Paul lost his wallet and all that money because of her. And to this day, like,
so he had
last week.
Oh, he had like all the cash in the wallet. Oh.
Yes. But as of like last week when I spoke to him, we were talking about talking about Sabu, and then he goes, that fucking Melissa Coates, she, in his Boston accent, she made me lose $2,000 in my wallet, Like, he was livid. To this day, he's livid that she caused that chaos.
Right. We should call him and have him tell some of these stories.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear not in the business anymore, salty Paul Jones stories about his.
So it would be, honestly, we could have him on to tell Dusty stories, because him and Dusty Rhodes were close, and he hung out with Dusty. He's got some, because we talked last week, and he told me some stories that were just like, he's got a story with Dusty and Willie Nelson hanging out with them. Like, that's fucking cool.
Yeah.
But
how
did
Paul knew Dusty because Paul was a belt collector, or he
right.
Collector. Yeah. So he did. He initially met Dusty because he bought championship belts. And
right.
That was Dusty the introduction.
Right. And then from there they became friends. And
right.
I mean, to the point where, Cody, which I don't know, probably many people don't know this, but
No, I
at
think
one
I saw
point,
him
Dusty,
call him Uncle Paul or something on a Facebook thing or
right,
something. Yeah.
because Cody at one point didn't have a job and was going to acting school in Los Angeles, and Dusty called Paul and said, "Can you get Cody a job?" Whatever retailer Cody was working at, Paul was working at the time. Paul got Cody hired and the sister hired at
Oh,
his job to
don't
do like
even
investigations.
don't even get me started on the sister. I watched that fucking show last night. They've
I heard she's getting
they've
heat.
set her up to be the heel of heels on that show.
Yeah, she tweet. We follow each other on Twitter, and because she lives here too in Georgia by me, and I don't know how we ended up following each other, but she she tweeted about it last night. So
Yeah, they
yeah, but
well,
she's playing the heel role. Let me tell you, because they spelt her name wrong, and she said, "Sorry, this is how you spell it. Get it right." I was like, "Oh, she's fucking eating it up. This is great."
yeah, but dude, she's from like a dynasty in wrestling. Like she's one of the kids
Right.
from like one of the dynasties. So of course she knows how to play heel. But I mean, let me just say, like if the story's even half true, that she sent Brandy like a long fucking text message about how dare she use the Rhodes name without getting permission, yada yada, and whatever. It's like, how much permission do you need? You married the son, and she was brought up through FCW by Dusty. Like she worked with Dusty.
Right.
She probably saw Dusty more than his daughter saw her at the time, and Brandy, who has no reason to lie, said she asked Dusty if it was okay. During some point after she had married Cody, can I use the name? I mean, I'm married. I'm married to your son. Your son uses the name. Can I use the name? It would only make sense in wrestling.
Right.
And so that Dusty's daughter to send her that like kind of angry fucking text, how dare you, blah blah. Like nobody's needs to ask you. You're not in the business.
Right.
You have no ownership or claim over the fucking name.
Right.
You can
Right.
ask Dusty. You can ask his widow. You can ask the kid. You can ask Dustin or Cody. But she shouldn't be making that call. I don't feel, or reaching out and
Agree.
sending her an angry text about it. That's like
Right.
longer than my foot. Yeah.
Those, yeah, no, for sure. But yeah, so no, but yeah, I don't know. That whole. How did we go from
I don't
Snake
know.
Master to Sandman to Sabu to Melissa Coates' foot to Paul Jones and Dusty Rhodes?
I don't
What
know.
a
But
fucking podcast!
it's all 6
We'll be
degrees.
canceled tomorrow.
It's 6 degrees of something, that's for sure. It's like 6 degrees of FOW, I think.
I guess, yeah. I mean, so can we just blame Bobby for this whole episode?
So explain to me one thing.
Yeah.
FOW, was that Bobby's, or who owned that originally?
So Future of Wrestling was owned by Bobby.
Okay.
It was his company with Jody X, who was his girlfriend at the time. They owned FOW. Frank helped them, Fabulous Frank.
Right.
They were, they ran it. And then you had Mike Blake, who he's passed away as well.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Blake, it was his ring, but he was part of the whole shebang. And that's when I first met Marco, because Marco was the ring crew.
Yeah.
He put that ring together, and then he hadn't really been in the business yet. He was just getting started. But yeah, that was Bobby's baby. And when I first started, my first FOW show was as a fan. I had just started training. It was insane. It was a standing room only building with the most wild wrestling fans I'd ever seen. It was insane, and I was like, I got to be a part of this.
Yeah.
Because it was so cool. And then we started working for Bobby because we were young, and Bobby probably thought he can get our asses. Realistically, he only booked us because he thought we were good looking, I think. And we, like, within the first month, 2 months, we were like the hottest thing ever. Me and Eric, like, it was insane. And then we just started getting booked everywhere.
So then how did you end up basically putting on FOW shows?
So then when Bobby got in trouble,
I mean, that's no
a
big
whole nother
secret. Yeah,
episode.
you don't have to be
Right.
vague about it. He
he went to jail.
did a stretch.
So that night, I remember that night was we were in Boca Raton, FAU. That's what the show was. We had heard rumors all day that Bobby was in trouble. He was in jail. A lot of stuff was going on. Me and Eric were so naive too. We had no idea. So we got there, and they were like, Dave Johnson and Bruno Sassy and good old Seth Gregg were like, oh, Bobby got arrested, and we're still going to run this show. It'll be the last FOW show. Now, mind you, the real last FOW show was right before that. It was in Davie at some bar that had like multiple levels, and it was me and Eric, where the main event was me and Eric versus Punisher and Hassan, MVP.
Wait, where
for the tag team titles.
Now I'm curious, where was this bar?
So it's that bar on Davie, go past your house, past the rodeo arena, whatever that intersection is. Orange, I think it was on.
Yeah.
Orange and Davie, on the left-hand side, it was like a country bar.
Oh, it might still be there.
Yeah, it's still there.
Well, that's interesting.
So
was it
that's where
was that a cool venue? It sounds like a cool venue with like.
It was. So it was like ECW. So you had the floor, and then you had a balcony, so people were watching above you. But like it was the coolest thing, like right above you.
Like that German American place that we were talking about.
Yeah, but this was tighter. This was a tighter area, so it was like really intimate. But Bobby had we had known that was the real last FOW show. Like something was going on, but like we didn't know what was going on. But that was really the last FOW show.
You didn't notice the clicking on the phone when you would talk to people?
Yeah, no, right. Right. So we didn't like
Bobby telling you to call him back from a payphone.
Right. I was like, why are we going to a payphone, Eric? But we did the last show. That was the main event, and Hassan and Punisher dropped the titles to us, and we won the titles. So the next show was the month later, and that's when Bobby got arrested, whatever. And we get to the show, and they're like, Bobby got arrested, blah, blah, blah. We were like, what the fuck? And I will never forget Bruno Sassy. I almost felt like it was intentional. He said, we were working him and Billy, and you're dropping the titles to us. And I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, you're dropping the titles to us. I was like, why? And he was like, it was the last episode. It was almost like he, A, wanted to bury us because we were Bobby's boys, and B, he wanted to...
Yeah, but weren't you also Billy's boys?
Right, but Billy and Bruno had, like, the beginning of heat at that. They had heat. But for some reason, they put it to the side, like, for this match, we did this last match, whatever. We went under to them, whatever. It didn't matter at the time. At the time, it mattered to me because it was at FAU, and, like, that, I grew up, that's my town. And I'm like, you're fucking putting me under with all my people here, you piece of shit. Like, me and Eric grew up there, like, And I think it was more of, like, he wanted to stick it to us because he thought I would stick it to Bobby, like, who was in prison.
Well, it's also like, if he was going to stick it to Bobby, a good way to do it is just to undo everything he did. Did. Like, oh, you're going to make them champs? Well, I'm going to unmake them champs. Just fuck it. And also, it's, I mean, depending, some people would think about this too. Like, well, if this is the last show, then I'll be the champion. And then I'm always
So I think that was part of it too. Yeah. Right. So then FOW died. It just totally died. And at some point, I will never forget, I get a phone call. Nick was a baby. Nick was a baby. I was at a doctor appointment for one of the kids. It may have been Nick. And I answered, it was Bobby. And he was like, hey, I was like, this is like 3 years later. I was like, hello? Like, I was like, I can't talk to this guy. Like, I don't even know what the fuck happened still.
Right.
And he was just like, hey, it's like, well, like, I wrote a book in prison, and like, I'm going to come out with it, but I didn't, like, I always liked you guys. And I was like, well, he never did anything to us. So I was like, you never did anything to us. Like, we're cool. And that was the end. I literally was so uncomfortable. I was like, I got to go. Like, because I didn't know at the time.
He wrote a book?
He did. He still probably has it.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Right.
Like a tell-all
about
book?
FOW. There was some juicy stuff in there that I don't know if it was true or not, but like none of it was about me and Eric. Like we never like, we were.
Well, yeah, but you were pretty.
We were just rat magnets. I mean,
Yeah.
that's all.
But I mean,
uh,
but I like the longer he waits to put the book out, the less people he's got to clear it with as time goes on. I mean,
right,
you
right,
know,
true.
every
Right,
other year, someone else passes away, so it's like, you know,
right, right. So anyway, then he got out of jail, and uh, I wanted to start running wrestling shows, and me and Paul, and I said we should use the Future of Wrestling name, and he was like, "Well, who owns it?" I'm like, "I would assume Bobby does." And he's like, "Well, Bobby lets you use it." I was like, "Well, I don't know. Let's find out." And I reached out to him, and he said, "Yeah." He wouldn't let me, he wouldn't let anybody else. Like there was very few people he would have let use it, and he said, "Yes, you can use it." So we started
oh,
using
so you
Future of Wrestling,
didn't
and
even like buy it from him or anything, huh?
so it wasn't the trademark had expired and everything was done. I think Paul gave him like a couple $100,
Oh, okay, yeah. Well,
and
it's
that was it, right? And we started using the name, and me and Paul were running the shows, and then started running those joint shows where it was like Future of Wrestling and Battling Bombshell. So it was a men's show and a women's show back to back.
right.
Um,
So you
you
never,
know,
but I mean, like at that point, it's like you're not booking any women's matches on your show.
so I still did. We did one. We had Santana on usually just because she was Santana, and uh, yeah, we started doing the shows together, and Bobby let us use FOW. And if of course, I put the title on myself, as any good promoter would do.
Right.
And Bobby would always say that I was like not the true. I wasn't a true FOW champion.
How many shows did you end up running?
I
Do you
think we only
remember?
did a year. It was only a year,
It felt longer though, no?
right? Maybe 2 years.
Because you had the belt a
I don't
while,
remember.
Agony had the belt a while, and I don't even remember what happened.
Sean Allen had the belt after that,
Yeah, and it's not like you were running monthly.
and I still have the belt,
Goldie
the
White.
physical belt. It's in California at my friend's house. He still has it because when I moved, I left it in a box somewhere, and he went and got it for me. He still has it to this day in California. I cannot wait to go get it
I
because I
thought you
want
were
that belt.
I thought you were running shows longer than that.
Maybe 2 years. It was 2 years, but yeah, because we did. You know
But how
what?
many?
We did all those.
Yeah, I mean, you had to have
We did do
run
a lot,
at least 8 shows, if not more. You don't think?
right? And running shows is awful. That was like when I think about it now. That was it was just horrible. But I was horrible at it, so
Yeah.
that was
Well,
part of it. I
you
was
don't
like,
have a lot of get up and go. You
no,
know
right,
you
no,
know.
and even like I saw JoJo last weekend, and he was like, "You were a shitty fucking booker," and I started thinking about it. I was like, "You're right. I really was a shitty booker, but I was booking to be friend, like to help people out instead of booking as a business. I was booking more of like, oh, we got to get this guy on the show. He lives here, like that was the wrong thing to do.
Right. I mean,
Now I want to run shows again. Fuck, I want to start running shows. That's it.
you and I will run shows, which means I'll run shows.
Right.
Next year, I got 2 paydays. I got 2 paydays I'm waiting on, and then we're gonna run shows.
Yeah.
I might even buy an existing brand like you, or maybe we'll revive FOW. Bobby likes me too.
Oh, right. He does. Right.
Can you
That would be
imagine?
a good revival.
Could you imagine?
Jesus, the revival of FOW.
Here's what we do. This is how the Spite Wrestling promotion comes to be. This is how it comes to be. We buy that other promotion that we were talking about buying, and
Right.
then we do the trash can rebranding thing. And since we already have the FOW thing, we could do like a double swerve. We could do that. It could almost be. It could be like the Adam Cole and then Bryan Danielson thing, where it's like they're like not even 10 minutes apart from each other. We'll throw the one belt in the garbage and say we're now FOW, and then I'll go, you know what? Screw this one too. We're Spite Wrestling Championship Wrestling. Fuck all you.
Yeah.
Fuck all your history. Fuck all
everybody.
your legacy.
Yeah.
This is
Right.
new start, new look, new whatever. Maybe we'll run one. Yeah, like
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, and those were good times. They were good times, but
yeah, Yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
I
I do.
I caught you on the like we got to know each other on the fringe of that. Like Bobby had
Right,
already
right.
gone away and come back from prison.
Yes, right,
Uh,
right,
you know,
for sure.
but you weren't. But you were.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's when you started running the FOW. I was pretty much just.
right.
I knew you probably a year before you started doing that. You think?
Yeah, no, it was. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Because you're like, I'm
good
starting.
times though.
Because you're like, I'm going to start running. And I'm like, you sure? And you're like, yeah, it's going to be great.
Yeah.
And then
No,
I
it
think
was.
you
It was.
realized how much work
But
it was.
it was. But I will say I will never. Uh, the one show was a good show. Come on, that was a great show.
Which one?
Where Marco worked Tremperetta
Was that the night the lights
and
went out in
Johnny
Deerfield?
worked. Yeah, Johnny worked Adam Cole.
Is that? But that
I
was
mean,
was that the night we lost power for like 15 minutes?
I think so.
Was
Yeah.
that the mega show?
Yeah.
That was the mega show where it
Yes.
was you and the bombshells and Adam Barasano. This
Yeah.
is the funniest thing. He was like managing like two teams, uh, or he was a manager for two matches, like on
Right.
your show. And then I think in between shows we lost power or somewhere around there, and everyone asked Barasano to go out there and stretch it for 15 minutes until they could figure out how to
Right.
turn the power back on. And then I think he was a manager for one of the women's on the women's show. By that end of the night, everyone was so sick of Adam Barasano, it wasn't even funny. They were ready to hang him because it was like, all right, we get
Right.
it, you're good, small doses. But then like once they
Right.
asked him to go out there
That
and
is what happened.
occupy people's fucking attention for 15 minutes while you figured out where the light switch was,
Right.
I was like, oh my god.
No, there was a storm. There was a storm that night.
I was like, this
there was a
kid is
storm.
dying the slowest of deaths.
But that show was good because we had Adam Cole on the show versus Johnny Vandal. We had Roderick Strong
Yep.
versus Sean
That
Allen.
was
We had
half of whatever that fucking group was called.
right Tremperetta versus Marco, right? Versus Marco,
Yeah.
which was a good matchup. And me and JoJo worked those guys from Puerto Rico that were like
Was that the show
Carlos
Ember Moon was on also?
on the women's show.
Yeah, I'm
right?
just trying to think of all the like it was
Yeah, Santana. Yeah,
yeah.
somebody else was on this. Another famous woman was on that show.
The
I forgot who we used.
the legend? The
Leilani Kai was
Yeah,
on it.
Leilani
Leilani Kai was on it. Right. Yeah, we had La Rosa Negra. I mean, come on.
Rosa. Our SuperCon friends, I think, were on it. Sue and
Right. Sue. Right.
Solo.
Right. Right. That was a fun show.
It was a little
it was
long.
called Battle. That was yeah.
A little long.
Yeah, and I don't know why I remember this, but I remember in the crowd was the UFC fighter Anthony Johnson.
Was that the one he
Do
was
you remember
at?
that?
Yeah, I remember he
that
was
was the
at
one
one
he
of
was
the
at.
shows.
Yeah, was Earl wasn't at that show, right? No, because
Earl didn't know us. He hadn't even. I don't even know. He wasn't even a Dolphin at that time. I don't think. I think he was still with.
I don't remember.
I think he was still with the Texans. So I don't think any. I don't think any of us even knew who Earl Mitchell was at that point.
No.
I mean, other than
I don't
he was
remember.
a football player. He wasn't. He wasn't here, and we hadn't met him yet. So I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, couldn't remember. Yeah, but that was a killer. What was the name of the FOW show? I don't even remember.
You mean like the nickname that you give these shows? Like,
Yeah, I can't
Yeah,
remember what it was.
I don't think you ever had anything catchy, and you weren't.
No.
I don't know. I don't remember seasons, beatings, those types of things. It was like
Seasons meeting.
it
But
was.
I tried to change the names when I
Were you like
when I
naming them
got there.
after like fucking songs and stuff like that at one point or something like that? I don't remember.
I was after what?
After a while, I thought you were like coming up with like song lyrics or something for the names of your shows.
I was.
Yeah. You
I
were
want to
doing
say
like
we had a show that. Yeah, we had a show that was like it was like I think the name of it was "Call Me Maybe." I think that was
you
the
were
name of the show.
Yeah, these are not like these didn't stick in
Yeah.
my head. I think was Drexel coming down for all of those?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun. All our friends were there.
It was fun. Yeah, I mean,
We should do it
we
again.
definitely had a really good time, and
That's the one guy.
yeah, it's funny.
If I was doing shows down here, like local shows, I'd still fly Derek in for him.
Yeah,
Even though it probably costs
we
an
had,
arm and a leg.
and I forgot we had Big Vito on that show.
Ugh, that guy.
Forgot about that. That guy blocked me.
one day we gotta just fucking devote a whole podcast. I can shit on that guy for a solid hour 30. I could put a solid 90 minutes in shitting on that fucking guy.
Oh God!
Fuck Big Vito. Fuck him. Man, he was
Yeah.
just absolutely clueless. I just had to block him one day. He just did not get it.
Right.
Did not get it. Wanted to be a part of it. Couldn't get it. Didn't understand. That whole
Oh man!
the whole
All right, we're going longer. I can keep talking FOW because I just pulled up the Wikipedia page, but
I feel
we gotta go.
I feel like this is like makeup time because we gotta do our atonements for all the sins we did earlier in the podcast.
I'm just looking at like tag team like I was looking at champions, and man, there's some names on here that were tag team like FOW champions.
Well, back
Just
when
looking
Bobby
at
was
like
back when
heavyweight
Bobby was,
like names. Yeah, I mean you got MVP, right?
Yep.
Like he was the champion.
Yep.
The Cuban Assassin,
Mm-hmm.
Tatanka,
Mm-hmm.
Christopher Daniels was champion at one point.
Fallen Angel. Maybe not even back.
The Sandman,
Yep.
Duke the Dumpster Drozy, Terry Funk, Mike Graham. I mean, these are names. Mr. Perfect,
Yeah.
Marty Jannetty, Adam Cole. These are just guys who have been on the show. Adam Cole. I mean, these are names. I mean, come on, Michael Mannix, Jerry Lawler, Roderick, Vito, Trent Beretta. I mean, Danny Doring. These are Typhoon and Earthquake. Serious names.
The natural disasters. Yeah.
They were there.
See that? That reminds me. I was like, the only thing I thought of that might discount Paul being like close to Cody. Although if he did get him a job and all that's like, but when you said like when I saw that he had called him Uncle Paul, it reminds me back to that story Dusty told from Shockmaster and how Cody called. I said, I think that was Uncle Fred. I for a second I'm thinking, well, maybe he calls everyone Uncle.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's probably whoever Dusty decided was named Uncle was who Cody
Right.
probably.
Right. Just we'll end it with this. FOW history. The most reigns as tag team champion was the Vandals at 5. So we held the FOW tag team titles more than anybody. It was 5 times.
Right. And you lost
Now,
it 5 times.
Right. But whatever.
Well, I'm saying like if you had not dropped it that night, you would have won at 5 and lost at 4.
But do you know on the reboot of FOW who the last tag team champions ever were?
Is this going to be something that makes me laugh?
No.
Oh.
I just don't think you're going to get it.
Well, I absolutely don't remember. But who was it?
The Red Devil Fight Team.
Oh my God. Mike and Al.
Right. Do you know who the longest reigning heavyweight champion was? I'll take the blame for this one. Sean Allen held the title for longer than anybody. Totally my fault.
How long was that? Does it say?
435 days. I think we went out of business. So
So that's over a year. So you had the title, Agony, under your booking. How many champions did you have? 3 or more? Are those the only 3?
I guess we can look. There's a whole list.
You don't remember?
Oh.
That's the fucked up thing. So
Oh, wow. So, no, here we go. Ready?
Yeah.
So 2011 is when we came back. No, it was only 11 to 13. Yeah. So Billy was the first champion. He defeated ERA. Then I defeated Billy. August 6, 2011.
That's easy to do when you're booking the shows.
champion for 350 days. Then I dropped the title to Aaron Agony.
Wait,
he
you
was champ for
wait,
21 days, but
wait.
then I beat him again.
Wait, you had the belt
I
for
was
how
champ-
long?
I dropped the title to Aaron Agony.
No, but how long did you have the belt for?
350 days.
Holy Jeff Jarrett. Look at this fucking guy.
And then I dropped it to Agony. He had it for 21 days, but then I beat him. I held it for 42, and then dropped it to Sean.
I'll be honest.
September of
I thought Agony had it
2012.
more than a bang bang.
So we were around for 2 years. Now the last FOW champion in Bobby's era was Mr. Perfect because he died with the belt. It actually says Kurt Hennig died as the champion. Oh, Jesus. God. Yeah.
Wait, did we ever finish that story?
I think we did, yeah.
I don't think we did. I think we didn't we like
I don't know.
keep having the podcast get interrupted or
yeah, I think we ended up finishing it.
I don't remember, but man, yeah.
But, Norman Smiley and Low Key were FOW heavyweight champions at one point. Yeah. How about that?
I mean, yeah, I could see Norman, Low Key.
Screaming Norman.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Johnny Vandal, most reigns as the light heavyweight champion. Oh, international heavyweight champion. Johnny Vandal, 3. Wonder who booked that. Probably me.
Probably you.
Lindsay Dorado was our champion at one point. I booked that, and I forgot. Yeah. Do you know, one last fact before we close it out here. This is a cool one. Do you know that the FOW international title was defended in Tokyo, Japan? Twice? Did you know that?
I did not. I'm sure that was not during your tenure as...
It was.
Really?
August 12th. Well, Johnny dropped the belt to Craig in Tokyo when they were in Japan, and then we got 0-1 to allow this to happen, and then Johnny won it back before coming back to the States.
That's it. Yep. I mean, sure, why not? An American title, like it doesn't even matter, you know. I think it's something cool that they would that a smaller promotion Japan would go for. Yeah.
Yeah, they allowed it. We worked it out, and they allowed. It was my idea, and I asked Craig and Johnny, and they were over there for 0-1.
By working
and they allowed it to happen.
Mean what? Nothing. That they said, okay, we'll do it. It's not like they paid you or anything like that.
No. It was literally just okay.
Yeah,
like we can do it.
You made it like,
and I let them work it out while I was.
Well, I'm saying worked it out. Like there was some like intense negotiations. Prisoner exchange. Cash back and forth. I
mean, we may have left. Craig may have had to stay there for like 5 years, but whatever. I mean, he came back.
Well, he married a local.
Right.
And then.
Right.
And then the stories kind of diverge from there on what happened.
Right. Yeah.
We don't know. I don't know, at least.
All right. One last thing before we go.
Mister, I gotta go. Okay, go ahead. One more thing. Go.
Let's never forget that I was a 2-time light heavyweight champion at one point in my life. I just want you to know that, okay? I was a light heavyweight champion.
When the announcer,
that's it. That's all I got.
When the announcer said light heavyweight, he turned and looked at the hard cam and winked.
Yeah, I was a lightweight then, but yeah, I just want you to know that. That's all. I just want you to know I was at one time was a lightweight heavyweight champion.
Yeah. You will never contend for that belt again, my friend.
Yeah. Nope. Never.
Now you're. Yeah. If you had a super heavyweight category, I think that's where you would fit in. Isn't that over like 275?
I mean, we're below that now.
Yeah. Only for the fear of death are you below that right now. If the Billy Massacre wasn't looming above your head, I think you'd be super heavyweight right now.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I'm done.
I'm done with you. What do you think about that?
That's it. Goodbye.
Hey, one more thing.
Yeah.